Good day, people. Today I'm going to do the solution to the end of week quiz we did on February 2nd. The spinner is divided into congruent sections that are labeled 1 through 7. If the spinner is spun 1 times, what is the probability that of the aura not landing on a section labeled with an odd number? So what's the probability of not landing on an odd number? So what's the probability of actually landing on an even number? So 1 even number, 2 even number, 3 even numbers. So that's 3 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 3 out of 7. So obviously our answer is J. Based on a weather report, the probability that it will rain tomorrow is 0.13. Which word describes the likelihood that it will rain tomorrow? Since it's 0.13, we know that's 13%. And 13% is between 0 and 50%, so that's unlikely. A number cube with faces labeled 1 through 6, or 1 to 6, was rolled 20 times. Each time a number cube was rolled, the number showing on the top face was recorded. The table shows the results. Based on these results, what is the experimental probability that the next time the number cube is rolled, it will land on 5 or 6? So we see that 3 times it landed on 5, 5 times it landed on 6, so in total 11 times it landed on 5 or 6. Sorry, 3 plus 5 is actually 8, so it's not 11, 8 times. So that's 8 out of the 20 times it landed on 5 or 6. We know that 4 can go into both, so 4 into 8 goes 2 times, 4 into 20 goes 5 times. So that's 2/5, the answer is A. Our store owner made a list of the number of greeting cards sold last month. The store sold 167 thank you cards, 285 birthday cards, and 56 bank cards. Based on these data, which number is the closest to the probability that the next customer will buy a blank card? So we know 167, we're trying to find the total amount. 167 plus 285 plus 56 gives us 508. So what's the probability that the next customer will buy with a blank card? So that's 56 out of 508, which gives me 0.11. So we see that our answer is A. On Robert's shelf are 6 mystery books, 5 science books, 4 history books, 3 adventure books. Robert will randomly choose one book to read. What's the probability that he will choose an adventure book? So adventure, so it's 3 adventure books. That's 3 out of the 11, 15, 18. 3 out of the 18. We know that's the same thing as 1, 6. So our answer is D. 200 students in a school band will attend an awards dinner. A random survey of 25 of these students was conducted to determine how many of each meal should be prepared for the dinner. The results of the survey are shown. 12 students want a beef meal, 8 students wanted a chicken meal, and 5 students wanted a pasta meal. Based on the survey results, which of these is the best prediction of the meals wanted by 200 students? So since this was for 25 students, they did the survey. This survey was based on 25 students. So we can just see how many 25 we can get into 200, which is 8. So we could just multiply each of these by 8. So we get 96 wanted beef meal, 64 wanted chicken meal, and 40 wanted pasta meal. All right, there are 16 who wanted a beef meal. That's not true. There are 52 who want either chicken meal or pasta meal. Chicken or pasta. 52, that's not true. There are 32 more who wanted beef than chicken meal. 32 more, this looks like the answer right here. There are 24 more students who want pasta meal, 24 more wanted pasta. That's not true. A number cube with faces labeled 1 to 6 was rolled 20 times. Each time the number was rolled, the number showing on the top face was recorded. The table shows the results. Based on these results, what is the experimental probability that the next time the number cube is rolled, it will land on? So we took off the R6 on this question since it was repeated, so it will land on a 5. So we see that 3 out of the 20 times it would land on 5, so the answer is B. Kira rolled a fair number cube with 6 faces labeled 1 through 6. She rolls the number cube 300 times. Which result is more likely? Casey will roll an 1 or 2 about 50 times. That's not true. 1 or 2, so you'd have to combine 1 or 2, so that's not 50 times. Casey will roll a 1 or 2 exactly 50 times. That's not true. Kira will roll an even number, so we know half of it would be even. About half would be even and about half would be odd. So this looks like the answer. She would get about 150 times. She would get an even number. No, it can't be exactly since it's an estimate. The spinner shown as 8 congruent sections. The spinner is spun 120 times. What is a reasonable prediction for the number of times the spinner will land on an even numbers? So we have 1 even number, 2 even number, 3 even number. That's 3 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 3 out of 8 would have been an even number. So if we do it 120 times, we just multiply that by 120. And we get 45. So about 45 times, we get an even number. Leticia selected 25% of the 7th grade students in her school and asked them their favorite season. Of the students surveyed, 52 chose summer as their favorite season. Based on the data, what is the most reasonable prediction of the number of 7th graders or 7th grade students in her school who choose summer as their favorite season? Since she only did 25% of the population and 51 chose summer, if she did the entire population, we know that would be 100%, so we'd have to multiply this 25 by 4. So we'd also need to multiply this 51 by 4 to see how much out of that 100% would choose summer. So that looks like about 200 persons would choose summer. Rachel is setting up table for a party. 4 of the tables are red, 4 tables are covered in red, and 8 tables are covered with white tablecloth. Guests will randomly be seated at the tables when they arrive. Each table can seat 8 guests. What's the probability that the first guest arrive will be seated at a table with a red tablecloth? So in total, we have 12 tablecloths, and out of that is 4 would be red. So that's 4 out of 12, which is the same as 1/3. So our answer would be G. Leticia has 2 bouquets of flowers. Each bouquet contains 13 daisies. So bouquet S contains 30 flowers. So 30 flowers and 13 of those would be daisies. For bouquet T, 13 flowers. So we know that 13 out of the 13 would be daisies because each bouquet has 13 daisies. Which statement is true? The probability of selecting a daisy from bucket S is less than the probability of selecting a daisy from bucket T. This looks like the answer already. The probability of selecting a daisy from bucket S is 1. That's not true. Probability of randomly selecting a daisy from bucket S is equal to that's not true. The probability of randomly selecting a daisy from bucket S is 1/3. That's not true. An owner of a small store knows that in the last week, 54 customers paid with cash, 42 paid with a debit card, and 153 paid with a credit card. Based on the number of customers from last week, which fraction is closest to the probability that the next customer will pay with a cash? So we know cash is 54 paid with cash. That's 54 out of how much? So we need to add 54 plus 42 plus 153. That gives me 249. So that's 54 divided by 249. And that looks like roughly 22%. Alright, so we know that this is 25%, this is 33%, this is 50%, so this is 20%, so that would be the closest one to it. Which number represents the probability of an event that is unlikely to occur? So for it to be unlikely to occur, it has to be less than 50% and greater than 0%. 0% is impossible, 0.6 is 60%, so that's out. Half would be 50%, so that's out. So the answer is 12%. Mr. Graves gave her class 12 minutes to read. Carrie read 5.5 pages in that time. At what rate in pages per hour? So pages, 5.5 per hour, 12 minutes. Whereas hour would be 60 over 12 or 12 over 60. So that's 11 over 2 divided by 1/5. So that's 11 over 2 times 5 over 1, which gives me 55 over 2, which is 27.5. A teacher surveyed a random group of students about their preference for doing classwork online or on paper. The results are shown in the table below. Based on the results, how many students out of the 360 will most likely have a preference to do their classwork online? So as we can see, 17 out of the 25 students prefer to do it online. So if we need to see how much, if we want to estimate how much out of the 350 would prefer online, we'd have to multiply this by 350. And we get about 238 out of the 350 students would prefer to do it online. Glenn surveyed 40 of his classmates to determine their favorite cafeteria food. The results of his survey are shown in the table. What is the probability of meatloaf being students' favorite cafeteria food? So meatloaf, we see that the 4 persons said meatloaf out of the 40. So we can write 4 to 40, which is the same as 1/10, or we could write as a percent as 10%. So that would be the probability of a student saying they like meatloaf. Suppose there are 200 students in the cafeteria during lunch. How many students would you expect to choose hamburger as their favorite cafeteria food? Alright, we see that 9 out of the 40 students chose hamburgers. So if we have 200 students, I just multiply that by 200. I know that 40 into 200 gives me about 5 times. So that's 45 students would choose hamburgers. So about 45 students. Okay, thank you for watching.